Today on FSI, we are going to be breaking down the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Buffalo Bills from a betting perspective. Now, we're currently 24-8 in our official moves on Twitter, so make sure you're following that account. I'm your host, Tom Cross, and to my right is our analytics expert, Stephen Fu.
Thanks for tuning in this week. The Steelers are on the road as a 2.5-point underdog. They're plus 125 on the money line, and the Bills, they're minus 145.
The audacity to make the Steelers the underdog against the Bills by 2.5 points. Man, the books, they must know something that we don't know. I was surprised. I thought this game would probably be a pick. Of course, obviously the Bills coming off a strong win over the 49ers on Monday Night Football, and they were able to beat the Chargers as well the week before convincingly. And of course, the Steelers, they've been playing some of their worst football of the season over the last 3 games. So I guess it kind of makes sense, but I still would have liked to see this game be a pick-em.
The Pittsburgh Steelers just received their first loss last week against a sub-500 team. A lot of fans believe the Steelers are only successful because of their pancake schedule. But this week, they're up against the 9-3 division-leading Bills. The Bills have a very dynamic starting quarterback, so I'm not surprised with them being the favorites here, especially as the home team.
Josh Allen played his best game from the pocket all season long. Now, I did notice that he's not running as much as he usually does, probably because of that knee injury that he suffered against Bosa from the Chargers game. Now, he did throw an interception to Fred Warner that was called back on our Richard Sherman hold that was irrelevant to the play. So he's still turnover prone, but that was a great game against the 49ers, and it was mostly because his offensive line finally stepped up.
Big Ben is playing in his 16th NFL season. In the prior year, he did suffer a season-ending elbow injury to his throwing arm, but he has made a full recovery since that time. His production has dropped off a lot this year. He's only averaging 6.4 yards per throw, which is a big drop-off from his career average of 7.7.
The Bills' offensive line finally played the best game of the season against the 49ers. Against the Chargers, obviously, Nick Bosa had 3 sacks, and, they have been up and down all season long. But overall, against the 49ers, they got a grade of A. They are playing a Pittsburgh defensive front that is the best in the league. Of course, they still got Cam Hayward and TJ Watt, but this is a big deal that Bud Dupree is out. So at the end of the day, I'm still going to give Pittsburgh an edge here on the defensive line because they've shown all season long that they are the best. But it could be a good game for the Bills because Dupree's out.
The Steelers have the best offensive line in the league, a title they've held for multiple years. Now, they're giving up a league-low 10 sacks this season and only allowing a sack rate of 2%. They should have no problem stopping that Bills pass rush because they're only performing at the league average right now.
The Bills, they are missing John Brown, and he was their deep threat that really stretched out the defense. But Diggs is playing amazing ball. And number 13, he's really shown up for the Bills. So he's also been a really strong third wide receiver. And, of course, they got Cole Beasley. Now, they are facing a Pittsburgh secondary that is one of the best in the league. So at the end of the day, because the Bills are not at full strength, I'm going to give an edge to the Pittsburgh Steelers here.
The Steelers are very well constructed at the receiver position. They have 3 players that can be easily number 1 option on any team. Juju Smith-Schuster, Charles Claypool, and Deontay Johnson will be the most productive receivers for the Steelers. But Eric Ebron and James Washington complete their core as the 4th and 5th options. They should have no problem up against this 25th ranked pass defense.
Both Bills running backs went out in the first quarter against the 49ers, but they both returned and played well. So their health, I don't think is going to be up in the air this week. Now, this is a mediocre run team. Every now and then on film, I do see that they go on drives where they really run it efficiently, but they're not consistent throughout the whole game of doing that because they like to pass more. There's more of a pass offense. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers are very stout against the run. Of course, Dupree being out does hurt a little bit for them, but overall, you got to give an advantage here to the Steelers.
The Pittsburgh run offense will be a big weakness for their team, averaging a league-low 3.7 yards per rush. However, the Bills are not doing well themselves on the defensive end. They're allowing 4.7 yards per rush, which is actually the fourth worst run defense.
Now, Josh Allen, even in his best game, he still had an interception to Fred Warner in the 49ers game. So the guy is just turnover prone. Now, you think about which team is more likely to make a mistake, and that's the Bills. Now, it is going to be interesting to see how the Bills' offensive line does stack up against the Steelers' defensive line because they are missing Bud Dupree, who had 8.5 sacks. But at the end of the day, if you buy a point and you bring it up to 3.5, I like the Steelers here. I like it better even if you 6-point tease it with something else and get the Steelers at plus 8.5. I feel like you're not only going to be in a position to win the game, but you're going to definitely be in a position to cover.
The Bills have revolutionized their team identity. They're no longer a rush-heavy offense that was complemented by a strong defense. Their focus now is the amount of passing yards the team can generate, but this week they're up against the third best pass defense and the number 1 pass rush. I'll take Pittsburgh in this matchup. It'll be smart buying up to 3.5 points.
Now remember, we can't predict injuries, PEDs, COVID, or the weather, so make sure you follow our Twitter for our official moves. We're 24-8 there. Now, that does it for us. Do me a favor, smash that like button and subscribe. Tell us who you're going to be taking in the comments below.
We don't care about favorite teams here. Our focus is on making you money. Follow our social media on Twitter, Instagram, or our webpage. The links